It was there before you were fully awake, before the first thought, before the first awareness of what day it is, before you remembered what is on the calendar, or what is unresolved, or what is coming. The anxiety was already present, already running. It had been running through the night, apparently, waiting for the moment consciousness returned so it could announce itself. That specific experience, the anxiety that does not wait for a reason to begin, is one of the more exhausting things the human body does, because it means the day starts at a deficit. You have not done anything yet, and already something is wrong. The chest is tight before breakfast. The stomach is already carrying what the day has not yet produced. The dread is ahead of the evidence. Take a breath right now, just one, not to fix anything, just to register that you are awake, you are here, and the anxiety arrived before you did, but it does not get to define what this morning becomes. There is a difference between the anxiety that woke up with you and the God who was already awake. The anxiety arrived uninvited and filled the space before you could fill it differently. God was already there. In the dark before the waking, in the room before the anxiety assembled itself, already present, already attending, and this prayer is the act of turning toward what was there before the anxiety arrived. His word declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 94, verse 19, that when anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy, great within me, not mild, not manageable, great. And into the great anxiety, the consolation came, not after the anxiety resolved, into it. That is what this prayer is reaching for. Before we enter this prayer, write in the comments right now, Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. Write it as the giving, the specific act of transferring what showed up uninvited into the hands of the one who was already present. Like this video as an act of choosing something other than the anxiety for this morning's first direction. Subscribe to this channel so we can begin every morning together, especially the Wednesdays when the anxiety was waiting. Share this prayer with someone who woke up anxious today. Now let us quiet what arrived uninvited. Lord my God and my Father, I come before you on this Wednesday morning, and I name the anxiety honestly. It is here. It woke up with me. It was in the body before the body was fully conscious, which means something in me was processing the feared things all night while I was trying to rest. And now it is morning, and the processing is still running, and the day has not even started, and I am already carrying what the day has not yet required me to carry. I am not going to perform the faith that would make this condition seem more spiritually composed than it is. The anxiety is real. The tight chest is real. The list of feared things that assembled itself before I got out of bed is real. I bring all of it here. Not the edited version, the actual Wednesday morning condition. And I receive something specific from the bringing. The anxiety that is named before God is smaller than the anxiety that runs unnamed through the interior. Not smaller because the things it is about became less concerning. Smaller because the named thing has edges. It is this specific fear and not every possible fear. This specific situation and not everything that could go wrong. The naming is the beginning of the quieting, and the naming also does something to the isolation. The anxiety that runs unnamed through the interior runs alone. It is the person and the fear together, unseen. The anxiety that is brought before God is no longer running alone. The person is with someone in the fear now. And the someone is not alarmed by what is feared, is not overwhelmed by it, is not surprised by it. The one who receives the named fear received it before it was named, and receives the person in it with the full steadiness of the one who has been holding what was feared all along. You are not alone in this. Even the anxiety that woke up before you did was not alone. It was in the room with the God who was already there. Your word declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 3 and 4, that when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust and am not afraid. When I am afraid, not if, when. The fear is acknowledged as a real and expected experience, and from inside the fear, not after it resolves, the trust is placed. The trust does not wait for the fear to go away. It is placed while the fear is present. That is the posture this prayer is taking, and the placing of the trust does not require the feeling of trust to be present. The trust is placed like an object placed in another person's hands. The feeling may or may not follow immediately. The placing happens regardless. I am afraid. I place my trust. Not because the trust feels natural this morning, because the one receiving the trust is trustworthy, whether it feels that way or not. And the placing is the act. The feeling is the grace that follows the act. Father, I want to name what the body is doing with the anxiety right now. The chest is carrying it. The specific tightness that anxiety produces when it settles into the sternum and sits there like a weight that was placed during the night. The breath is shallow from it, not deep, restorative breathing. The cautious, slightly held breath of the person whose body is braced for something. The shoulders are raised, probably without you realizing it until this moment. The anxiety lifts the shoulders toward the ears, tightening the muscles of the upper back and neck in a continuous, low-grade preparedness that has been running since before waking. Right now, in this prayer, let the shoulders drop. Just a small release, not a dramatic unclenching. The gentle lowering that acknowledges the body has been bracing and can, for this moment, stop. One breath, shoulders down. Jaw softened, the body following where the prayer is leading. The body has been carrying the anxiety's physical weight all night. It does not need to continue carrying it for the next hour before the day begins. The body can receive the rest that the prayer is offering, and often the body's releasing is the gateway to the mind's releasing. When the shoulders drop, something in the interior follows. Feel that now. The small dropping. The slight easing. The body was waiting for permission to stop bracing. This prayer is that permission. The brace is not needed here. There is nothing to protect against in the presence of the one who was already in the room before the anxiety arrived. The body can be at ease, at least for this prayer, at least for this breath. Your word declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 25, that anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. Weighs down. That is the physical description of what anxiety does. The weight in the chest, the heaviness, and the kind word, not the solution to the anxiety, the word that is kind, the word of the presence that receives the anxious person without requiring them to not be anxious. That word is available right now, in this prayer. Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. And here is the kind word for this specific Wednesday morning. You do not have to figure out everything the anxiety is afraid of before you can have peace. The peace comes before the figuring, before the resolution, before the feared thing has been addressed. The peace that surpasses understanding is the peace that does not require the understanding to arrive first. It arrives into the anxiety, into the tight chest and the shallow breath and the list of feared things, into the actual condition, as it is, that peace is not a feeling. It is a guard, a presence between the anxiety and the interior, not eliminating what is feared, holding the space so that what is feared is not the only thing. The peace arrived before you finish this paragraph, before this prayer ends. The guard was set, and the interior that was only anxiety a few minutes ago now has something else in it too. Lord, I want to receive something about what the anxiety is doing that is not serving this morning. The anxiety believes it is preparing you. It ran the feared scenarios through the night because some part of the interior believes that sufficient rehearsal of the worst case will produce readiness for it. If you have thought about the difficult thing enough times, you will know what to do when it arrives. If the fear has been felt thoroughly enough, it will not catch you off guard. But the rehearsal is not producing readiness. It is producing pre-exhaustion. The person who has lived through the worst-case version of Tuesday's conversation 4 times before Tuesday's conversation happens arrives at the actual conversation already tired from it. The person who spent the night processing the health concern arrives at the morning carrying the night's processing as an added weight. The anxiety convinced you it was protecting you. What it was actually doing was spending what you needed for the actual thing on the imagined version of it. The feared thing has not arrived yet, and the energy that would have been available for meeting it has already been spent imagining it. The anxiety is consuming the resource it was trying to protect, and the worst case the anxiety has been rehearsing is almost never the actual case. The actual difficult thing when it arrives is specific. It has edges. It can be met one moment at a time. The anxiety's version of it was everything at once. The actual version is one thing, and one thing can be faced. Your word declares in the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 34 that do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. The anxiety was rehearsing tomorrow, and the day before tomorrow, and the week after that, all the possible futures with all their possible difficulties. But the day comes one day at a time, and each day comes with what that day requires, not preloaded with everything the anxiety was rehearsing in advance. Today is Wednesday, not Thursday's feared conversation, not next week's uncertain outcome. Wednesday, with what Wednesday actually holds, which is smaller than the anxiety's preview suggested. And here is what the Wednesday actually holds that the anxiety was not tracking. Alongside the difficult things, there are also the ordinary good things. The conversation that will go better than feared. The small moment of grace that arrives in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. The evidence that the faithful showing up is producing something even when the producing is not yet visible. The anxiety was only tracking the feared possibilities. The Wednesday holds both. The quieted person receives both. The actual Wednesday, not the anxiety's version of it. Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. Father, I want to ask for something specific. The quieting. Not the elimination of the anxiety. Not the guarantee that the feared things will not happen. The quieting, the bringing of the anxiety from its Wednesday morning volume to something that does not fill the entire interior. Something that can be held alongside the other things that are true, rather than something that crowds out everything else. The quieting looks like this. The anxiety is still present, and it is no longer the only voice in the room. Alongside the fear about the relationship, there is also the truth that the relationship is in the hands of the God who loves both people in it. Alongside the anxiety about the health concern, there is also the reality of the one who heals and holds. Alongside the dread of the uncertain outcome, there is also the faithfulness that has held through every previous uncertain outcome. The feared things are real, and the true things are also real. The quieting is the restoration of both voices to the room. Your word declares in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 6 and 7, to be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Guard your heart and your mind. The peace stands at the door of the interior, not allowing the anxiety to be the only voice, holding the space for what is true alongside what is feared. guarding. That guard is being set right now. In this prayer, the peace that surpasses understanding does not require the anxiety to have been resolved before it enters. It enters into the anxious interior and guards, and the guarded interior is the quieted interior, still present to what is real, no longer overwhelmed by what is feared. Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. Father, as this prayer closes, I want to name what the quieted person carries into the Wednesday. Presence, the actual quality of being in the day rather than running ahead of it into the feared future. The anxiety was always in the next moment, the difficult conversation, the uncertain outcome, the possibility that did not yet exist. The quieted person is in this moment, Wednesday morning, this specific, unrepeatable June morning, with the specific people who share it. Present to what is actually here. That presence is a gift to the people of the day. The person who is here rather than in the feared future listens differently, responds rather than reacts, has the patience that the braced, anxious person does not have available, is genuinely curious about what is actually happening rather than filtering everything through the lens of the feared outcome. The colleague who shares the Wednesday receives the version of the person who was quieted this morning rather than the version that was running at full anxiety volume. The family member who comes home tonight receives the person who was present rather than the person who spent the day in the feared future. The quieting is not just for the person who was anxious. It is a gift to everyone who shares the day with them. Your word declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 4, that even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. With me, not with the future I was fearing. With me, here, in the Wednesday, in the actual day. The presence is not ahead of the day waiting for the difficulty to arrive. It is here in the morning, before anything has required anything. And when the Wednesday afternoon gets loud and the anxiety tries to return to its morning volume, remember this: the presence does not leave when the prayer ends. The guard that was set in the Philippians' peace does not unpost when the morning moves into the afternoon. The consolation that brought joy into the great anxiety is still available in the Wednesday's difficult middle. Return to it. One breath, the presence is still there. The quieting is still possible. Go into Wednesday with that. The presence that was here before the anxiety, and that will be here through whatever Wednesday brings. Not alone in the feared future, in the actual present with the God who is already there. Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. That is the declaration this Wednesday begins from. The anxiety was named, the body was released, the guard was set. And the Wednesday that opens from this prayer is entered by a person who is present rather than braced, quieted, not eliminated, here, not ahead. That is enough. To everyone who prayed with me this morning, go back to the comments and write it one final time. Lord, quiet the anxiety I woke up carrying. I give you what arrived before I was ready for it. Return to that breath through the day. When the anxiety tries to resume its full volume, the guard is still there. The quieting is still available. Subscribe to this channel and come back tomorrow morning. We are here every day, especially the mornings when the anxiety was already there before you were. Share this prayer with someone who woke up anxious today. What you send might be the quieting they needed before the Wednesday got any louder. May the Lord quiet the anxiety you woke up carrying today with the specific, attending consolation of the one who was already present before the anxiety arrived. May the tight chest loosen and the shallow breath deepen and the shoulders find their way down. May the peace that guards your heart and your mind hold through every moment. The anxiety tries to reclaim what this prayer released. And may you arrive at Thursday having been in the Wednesday rather than in the feared future. present, quieted, accompanied, in Jesus' name. Amen.